All right, let's look at these last few word problems here. This says a 9-foot alien is standing on a cliff. The alien is looking down at his spaceship below with an angle of depression of 15 degrees. So that's what we see up here as our 15 degrees. So what I did is I moved it down here to the bottom. Says the spaceship is exactly 787 feet from the base of the cliff where he stands. Find the height of the cliff. So we are looking for the height of the cliff, but remember the angle of elevation is measured from the top of our little alien. So whenever we find our x value, which will be this whole section over here, we're then going to have to take away that 9 feet. We have the adjacent and we need the opposite, so we're going to use tangent. So the tangent of 15 is equal to x over 787. Whenever I work all that out, I end up with 210.87. And then whenever I subtract the height of our little alien, we end up with that 201.8, which will round up to 202 feet. On number 52, the height of an isosceles triangle is 8 feet. Remember that in an isosceles triangle, our legs are the same length. So whenever I drop the height down, it is perpendicular to the base, and it also splits the base in half. So we end up with this little triangle over here on the right. It says that our base is 23, so this little piece is half of that, which is 11.5. What is the measure of one of the base angles? Remember, the base angles form between a leg and the base. So we're going to use tangent. And when we do that tangent inverse, we end up with 34.82, which leaves us with 35 degrees. All right, last two here. Number 53. Jasmine wants to know how far she is from the Reunion Tower in Dallas. She knows the tower is 560 feet tall. So that's this over here. The whole tower is this 560. From her eye level, which is 5 feet above the ground. So here's Jasmine over here. And she is 5 feet off the ground. And her angle of elevation is 32 degrees. So Jasmine is part of this entire 560 degrees, which means that I need to subtract those two to form this little triangle that's just kind of floating off in space. Now, we'll use that 555 and our 32 along with the tangent ratio. The way that this is set up, we'll do 555 divided by tangent 32, and then it does say to round to the nearest tenth of a foot, which will land us at 888.2 feet. And then the last section is kind of like that three-parter that we did in the notes. So Brandon and Callum are both looking up at a 30-foot tall scoreboard in the football field, making angles shown in the diagram below. What is the distance between the two boys? So we first need to find this entire distance for x. We'll use tangent to do that. And again, we don't want to round until we get to the very end. So we'll use tangent 34 is equal to the height of 30 over the length, which is our adjacent x. And I end up with this 44.47 and a bunch of other numbers. And then we're going to find the length for Brandon. So for this y value here, we're going to essentially do the same problem, but with our 60 degree angle. So tangent 62 is equal to 30 over x. That gets us this 15 and some change, almost 16. Again, don't round these just yet. So go up in your calculator and grab each of those and subtract them, and then we can round it at the end. So whenever I do x minus y, we should end up with that 28.5, and then we can round it up to be 29.